Okay, so let's see what happens if none of them match. Okay, because if none of them match, it's going to concatenate. You have $10 to this output string and then display it. So let's compile this and then run it to see what happens. Okay, and it's true because look at it, plums, melons, and cherries, and none of them match. So in that case, then you have $10. I want to go ahead and create another line break. So it's going to create another line before. And it's going to take the caret to another line before displaying it, just so I can have some nice space. So yeah, you have $10 like that. Yeah, you have $10. That's fine. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so now we're here. If two of the words match, okay, so if two of the words match, I think they were supposed to be like bullets here. I don't know what happened when I pasted this from the book. All right, so if two of the words match, the program will inform the user that he or she has won 2 times the amount entered. If two of the words match, the program will inform the user that he or she has won 2 times the amount entered. All right. So now we have to check to see if two of the words match. So we're going to create another condition for that. But let me explain how that's going to also work based on this here. So if word 1 is equal to word 2, right, and word 1, okay, is not equal to word 3, then that proves that word 1 and word 2 match. Okay. Now, if word 1 is equal to word 3 and word 1 is not equal to word 2, then that proves that word 1 and word 3 match. If word 2 is equal to word 3 and word 2 is not equal to word 1, then that proves that word 2 and word 3 match. So by basically having that logic, you've checked to see if any two match. Now, let me give an example here. So let's say word 1 is A, word 2 is A, and word 2 is B. Word 3 is B. So so for example, if we wanted to check to see if these two match, right? In this case, we wanted to check if these two match. So if word 1 is equal to word 2, which is true, and at the same time, word 1 is not equal to word 3, then that proves that these two match, right? Because now if these two match, right, and if these two match, then that means that they're equal. Then that means this is equal to this. If word 1 and word 2 match, that proves that word 1 is equal to word 2, right? So as long as any of them is not equal to word 3, then that means that word 1 and word 2 match. Okay, so because word 1 is equal to word 2, we have to now check to see if the third word is equal to any of these. If the third word is equal to any of these, then we don't have exactly 2 matches. We have more than 2 matches, right? So since word 1 is not equal to word 3, then that proves that these two matches. These two match. Now when you are comparing it, for example, if word 1 is equal to word 2, and word 1 is not equal to word 3. You can also say and word 2 is not equal to word 3, because as long as these two match, then this is equal. So if word 1 is equal to word 2 and none of these is equal to the third, but I'm going to use the first one since that's what I started with. I started with. I said if word 1 is equal to word 2 and word 1 is not equal to word 3, then these two match. It proves that these two match. Now if this was A, and I wanted to check to see if any two match. Now, if I say if word 1 is equal to word 2, of course, these two match. But if you leave it there, you may be wrong, right? If you leave it there and you use that as the only condition to check if any two match, or in this case, if these two match, you may be wrong because guess what? The third one also matches. So this doesn't prove that any two match. If you stick with only the condition that if word 1 is equal to word 2. If we stick with only that condition, you may be wrong to, checking to see if any two match. But to really know if any two match, if word 1 is equal to word 2, then none of them have to be equal to word 3, right? But in this case, if you just leave it like that, because word 3 is also the same as word 1 and word 2, then not two of not just two of them match. Then there's more than 2 words that match, and that's wrong. So you can't just use that as a way. You can't just use if word 1 is equal to word 2 as the only way to check if two numbers match. And I hope this makes sense, right? So to truly check if two numbers match, you say if word 1 is equal to word 2. In this case, we're checking to see if just these two match. In this case, we're checking to see if we check to see if the two match. So we say if word 1 is equal to word 2, and at the same time word 1 is not equal to word 3. Okay, if word 1 is equal to word 2, and at the same time word 1 is not equal to word 3, or if word 1 is not equal to okay, so let me repeat. I think I jumbled up. All right, so if word 1 is equal to word 2, and at the same time word 1 is not equal to word 3, then that proves that these two match. Or if word 1, okay, is equal to word 2, and word 2 is not equal to word 3, then it proves that these two match. Because once word 1 is equal to word 2, then that means these two are the same. So you can compare any of these with word 3 to see if they don't match, and if they don't match, then it proves that word 1 and word 2 match. We're going to do the same thing for all of them, all combinations. So first we're going to start with if word 1 is equal to word 2 and word 1 is not equal to word 3, that proves that these two match. Or, okay, if now we are forming that huge Boolean expression. So first is what we've done. If word 1 is equal to word 2 and word 1 is not equal to word 3, then that proves that these two match, right? And the other two we can check is if word 1 is equal to word 3. So this is when we're checking if this is equal to that. If word 1 is equal to word 3 and at the same time word 1 is not equal to word 2, then that proves that word 1 and word 3 match. The next one is if word 2 is equal to word 3 and word 2 is not equal to word 1, then that proves that word 2 and word 3 match. So in that case, by creating a Boolean expression, we've basically checked to see if any two match. All right. So I just wanted to do this just to make it clear. I'm sorry if I over-explained it. If you already know this, please feel free to skip through it. But if it's helping you, I'm glad. I'm glad to do this any day. But yeah, if it's you already know this, please feel free to skip through it. All right. So I'm only trying to do this just so it's clear. All right. Okay. So the condition to check to see if any two match is going to be this. So else if. Okay, so else if, so now this is where we're going to be creating it. So else if word 1, okay, is equal to word 2. Now I'm using double equals to compare. So if word 1 is equal to word 2, okay, and since these two are together, I'm going to go ahead and separate them. Surround them with parentheses. So if word 1 is equal to word 2, okay, and so I'm using and over here. At the same time, word 1 is not equal to, so not equal to like we saw up here, is not equal to word 3. It shows that, it proves that word 1 and word 2 match. So if word 1 is equal to word 2 and word 1 is not equal to word 3, then it proves that word 1 and word 2 match. So I'm going, since now this is also, these two are together, I'm going to go ahead and surround them with parentheses as well. So now this can be tricky. So as long as you follow it, I think you'll be fine. So try to not get lost. All right, now because these two are also working together, the whole of this and the whole of this are working together, I'm going to go ahead and surround all of them also with parentheses like that one. So now I have one string here like this in parentheses in the if. One string here like this here like that. In the if parentheses. So this first is for all of them. This is for this parentheses is basically whatever is highlighted is basically what it highlights all the way to the ending parentheses, and this also highlights all the way to the ending parentheses of this, and all of them are highlighted, surrounded with parentheses here. Okay, so that's for the first two. That's to check if the first two match. So I'm going to say now, I'm going to create the or. Okay. I'm going to create an or. So this is when the first two match, or there can be a case where the first and the third match. We're going to check that next. Now, since I have this, I'm going to just copy this whole thing and then change the values. So or, I'm just going to paste this. I'm going to say if word 1 is equal to word 3 now, and then word 1 is not equal to word 2, then that means that proves that word 1 and word 3 match. Okay, so let me go ahead and make sure that I'm, so I'm here. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and test for the last one, which is, so or, the 2 pipes means or, okay. The 2 ampersands means and the 2 pipes means or. So the last one is going to be if word 2 is equal to word 3, and at the same time word 2 is not equal to word 1, then word 2 and word 3 match. So over here I'm going to break it to the next line, and just take this here. All right, so or if, since I have it copied, I can go ahead and paste it, right? So paste it. So the last one is going to be if word 2 is equal to word 3, and at the same time word 2 is not equal to word 1, then that proves that word 2 and word 3 match. Okay, so now we're done checking to see when 2 of them match, right? So when 2 of them match, then we should do what the program says. So if 2 of the words match, the program will inform the user that he or she has won 2 times the amount entered. So we have the amount entered here. User amount entered, we have it here. So we can go ahead and display that the user has won twice that, right? So in that case, then we want to join output string. To output string, we want to join. Okay, so output string is going to be equal to output string. Okay, so it's going to be equal to whatever is stored in output string, concatenated with 2 lines to 2 new line characters. Okay, and now we're going to say you have won. Now since we have the user amount entered stored in this variable user amount entered, we can go ahead and use it and multiply by 2, because it says we should display that the user has won twice that. So I'm going to say if user, not if user, I'm going to concatenate it with user amount entered times 2. And since these are working together, I just want to surround them with parentheses. I keep saying separate. All right, so surround them with parentheses. So I'm going to say you have won twice the amount entered. So the amount entered times 2. So that's what we're going to concatenate to output string before we display it down here. So I'm going to compile this and see if it's true, if it works. So I'll run it and then see if when 2 of them match, it displays that. So I'm going to hit 3 and hit OK. Now it says we have 0 because none of them match. Melons, oranges, and bars, none of them match. I'm going to hit OK, run this again, and run this until we have 2 of them matching. So okay, so now it's true. Because did I type 4? Let me just do this again, just so I verify that it's working. Okay, so I'm going to type in 5. So if it doubles, then I'm expecting 10. Okay, so bells, bars, and plums are different, so I didn't get anything. Another 5. Okay, now because plums and plums match, because I type in 5, I get twice what I get. I win twice what I put in. I put in $5 and I get $10. Now we'll format this later on, but for now let's just use the numbers. So now it works. It just shows that it works. We can try one last time just to verify. So I'm going to type in 6. So if I win, I'm expecting 12. Hit OK. Because none of these match, I get $0. And I run this again just to see if, so 6. Okay, yeah, so because oranges and oranges match, I get 12 because 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, so now we're done with that. Okay, so if 3 of the words match, the program will inform the user that he or she has won 3 times the amount entered. Okay, so now we've checked to see when none of the words match over here. We've checked to see if any 2 of the words match over here. Now think about it. If none of the words are match, okay, and if none of the words don't match, and if any 2 of the words match, right, then basically, okay, so I think I'm saying it wrongly. Let me say it this way: if none of the words match, right, and if if no two of the words match, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So if none of the words match, and if no two of the words match, then that means that whatever is left, then that means the words match. I mean, all three of them match. When you think about it, if you're saying that none of the words match, right? Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to explain it. Okay, I think I have it either backwards or something. Okay, so let me start afresh. What I'm saying is this. Over here, we're checking to see if none of the words match. Okay, so yeah, I think I said it wrongly. All right, so ignore what I said about just like a couple seconds ago. So we're trying to now check to see if when all the words match. All right, so over here, we are checking to see if none of the words match. Right. So if that's not true, if some of the words match, then that means this won't be true. This is when none of the words match. But if some of the words match, then that means this won't be true. Okay, so if this is not true and it's true that some of the words match, then let's move on to check to see if any two of the words match. So if any two of the words match, then do this. But if no two of the words match, right? But if no two of the words match, right, over here we've already confirmed the fact that some of the words match, and over here, if this is not true, then we've confirmed the fact that some of the words match. And if we come here to check to see if any two of them match, and no two of them match, then that means that all three of them match. Okay, so we can just go ahead and just type an else statement, and just do what happens when all the words match. That's one way. Another way is you can explicitly state yourself, declare yourself, and say else if, and create a condition for when all the words match. So you can say if word 1 is equal to word 2, and word 1 is equal to word 3, and word 2 is equal to word 3, then that means all three of them match. Because if word 1 is equal to word 2, then that means word 2 is equal to word 1. If word 1 is equal to word 3, then that means word 3 is equal to word 1. If word 2 is equal to word 3, then that means word 3 is equal to word 2. So in that case, all of them match. So you can go ahead and explicitly state that condition here. Or you can just call it else, because guess what? If we check this condition and it's false, then that means some of the words match. Okay, so if some of the words match, then let's check to see if any two of the words match. Now, if no two of the words match, then that goes to conclude that all the words match. So we can just call it else and do what happens when all three of them match. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to call an else. But again, you can explicitly state yourself, okay, the Boolean expression to basically check to see if all three of the words match. All right. So if all three of the words match, then the program says we should go ahead. If three of the words match, the program says we should inform the user that he or she has won 3 times the amount entered. So it's just going to be the same as this. We're concatenating this string to output string. But instead of now displaying you have won twice the amount, we are saying we've won 3 times the amount entered. All right. So I know it's going to, when I compile this and I run, it may take forever. Maybe we may never get through 3 words matching. It will take forever because, it's random stuff. And it could be hard to get 3 numbers. But let me just try like 2 or 3 times to see if I'm lucky. But it should work. If I'm not lucky, when we're done with the program, I'll keep trying to see until I get 3. But for now, let me just try 3 to see if I'm lucky enough. Okay, so this is when 2 of them match. So I just got twice my amount. Try it again. So I'm just trying a couple of times. Okay, so again, I won twice. So let's see if this is going to give me 3 times. Nope, and I didn't even get twice. Okay. All right, so, but it should work. So we will once we're done with the program, we will test it and make sure that I get 3 times. I win 3 times before I leave the casino. All right. So now we've created conditions for when all the conditions they said here or they stated here in the question. We've created Boolean expressions and if statements for those. All right. So if 3 of the words match, we should say that 3 times the amount entered. So now we're here. Now, it says the program will ask whether the user wants to play again. If so, these steps are repeated. If not, the program displays the total amount of money entered into the slot machine and the total amount won. Okay. So the program is going to ask the user, do you want to play again? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and create a variable, a character variable, and I'm going to store, a character variable. Okay, so char or car. So a character variable, and I'm going to call it play again. And I'm going to set it to the character y, which stands for yes. So play again is going to be equal to y. Okay, initially once we start a program, it's equal to y. And I'm going to create a while loop. Okay, before I do anything, I'm going to create a while loop. Right. Let me first go ahead and create a structure, because the program said we should ask the user if they want to play again. And if the user wants to play again, then keep going. So I'm going to say this: while while play again is equal to the character y. While play again is equal to the character y, do what's in this while loop. Okay, now initially play again is equal to y, so this is going to run. We want to ask the user, check, store the amount entered, check to see what word was selected, store it in each of the words, start forming the string with what word, the words that were selected, compare to see if any of them match, and give the user the appropriate award, or basically money won. And that's what we want to do. And I'm going to cut this and paste it in the while loop here, like this. Now this is while, let me undo this. Okay, undo. I still have it copied. So while play again is equal to oops. Now this is a problem over here. I'm supposed to use double equals to compare. Okay, y. Now again, so double equals is to say if y is equal to play again. But if I said this, then every time I'll be assigning y to play again, no matter what. Even if something changes the value of play again to, let's say, n or anything other than y, because I come here, I'm going to, if I use one equal, I'm assigning y to play again. I'm basically saying, hey, while you are able to assign y to play again, do what's in the loop, and that's not what I want, right? Because in that case, this will always result to true. It will always be able to assign y to play again, and then that means the loop is going to keep running. But what I want is to say while play again is double equals. That means I'm really comparing what's on the right to what's on the left. So whilst it's equal to y, then let's go ahead and do all that. I pasted the code in the while loop. So let me indent it properly. So I want to go ahead and indent all of this. And this is the end of the while. So I'm going to hit tab here. Okay. So this is a for loop, just making sure it's indented properly. And this is good. Okay, so this is good. All right, so this is the end of the while loop here. Let's see here. Okay, so this is surrounding the while loop. This is the beginning of the while loop. This is the end of the while loop. All right, so while play again is equal to y, then do what's in the while loop. All right. And once it basically displays that, hey, you've won this amount, right? Before it goes back up and before it goes back up and check that condition while play again is equal to y, let's go ahead and ask the user and give the user the opportunity to change the play again variable. So I'm going to ask the user a question and say, using the GOption pane to show input dialog, right? But if I call the GOption pane to show input dialog, it's going to basically, that window that we have on the screen displaying the the messages and you've won this, it's going to go and it's going to be replaced with the input dialog. We don't want to take that screen off, right? If I come here and I say GOption pane dot show inputs dialog, asking the user if they want to play again. Here, so I'm going to say play again, asking the user if they want to play again, right? Look at what happens. If I enter a number and let's say I win, oops, so there's nothing happened here. All right, I think there's something happening. Oh, that's because a play again is always y. We haven't set the value. Let's see. GOption pane that show inputs dialog. Yeah, it's not showing the message. Oh, okay, it's not showing the message. what should happen is it should ask the user that, all right, so for loop here, while loop here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, yeah, it's working now. Sorry. Maybe it was working, but I didn't see it. All right, so run this, and if I enter an amount and I hit OK, it says play again, right? So if I basically display in the loop, if I was displaying G-option pane here in the loop, I'm just going to cut this. I'll put it back. I'm just testing something. If I was to display how much we have so far, and then using the G-option pane, let's say I'm putting it in the loop, so each time it's going to display something different. So if I, let's say, type in 4, hit enter, I'm going to see this, but if I hit OK, now I'm going to see a new screen asking me if I want to play again. I want it to show me the stuff here. I mean the slots, the words with how much I want, with a text box asking me whilst I'm seeing what I have. I don't want to just use another window. I want to put everything on one window. So I'm going to cancel this. And don't worry about this. It's basically we haven't written any code for when we hit the cancel button. All right, so I'm going to take this back to where it was, the G-option pane, back to where it was. It was down here. Okay, so over here, instead of so I'm going to basically, instead of just displaying G-option pane or play again, I want to also add the content I have so far, the contents in output string that that I have so far, right? So what I want to do is, since I want to display the content and ask the user if they want to play again, I have the content stored in output string. So before I ask the user or show the user this question, I'm going to say, do you want to play again? Actually, do you want to play again? Yeah, do you want to play again? Right. I don't want to just display this. Okay, I want to actually no matter what, it's going to show up, or it's going to pop up an input box. But what I wanted to say was I didn't want to lose the contents or the things that were being displayed to the user. I wanted to display that with the input as well. So since I have the content stored in output string, I can go ahead and display it here before I display the question. So I'm going to first display what's in output string, concatenated with a new line, actually multiple new lines, let's say 2 or 3 of them, and then with a question, do you want to play again? So in that case, then that's what's going to happen. In that case, then I don't necessarily need this, right? I'm going to go ahead and delete this, because now it's going to show me everything I need to see in the loop. Okay, because I have our output string displayed here. I'm going to show the user what's where they are so far with another question, do you want to play again? I'm going to compile this and then run to see where we are so far. So I'm going to insert money, and now we're seeing the words. We're seeing how much we've won, and we have the text box all on the same page because we are displaying the content and then also displaying the question using the input dialog. Here. Okay, so I'm going to cancel this again. Don't worry about this. We don't have any code for the cancel button yet. That's why. All right, so now we've asked the question. Okay, now we need a place to store the response. Now, whatever is being returned from the G-option pane show input dialog is returned. It's a string. Now we're asking the user, do you want to play again? I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to create a new line here and say, press Y for yes, Y for yes, and for no. Okay, so if you press Y, then play again is going to be equal to Y. So when it comes back up to the loop and check to see if play again is equal to Y, it's going to do this again. But if it's anything other than Y, although I'm telling the user to enter N, if it's anything other than Y, then it's going to stop, right? So I can even say press Y for yes, any key for no, okay, because it's basically while Y is equal to N, okay? Sorry, while sorry, what did I just say? All right, never mind. While play again is equal to Y. So while play again is equal to Y, then do this. All right, so if it's anything other than Y, then then don't do what's in the loop. Basically exit out of the loop, right? So while the play again is equal to Y, then do what's in the loop. So we want to accept what the user types. We've told the user to press Y for yes and then any key for no. All right, so we want to store. Remember, since this is going off the screen, so I'll break it on the next line. I'm going to go ahead and concatenate it. Close the string here. Okay. Now this is another string. It has a closing quotation here. I'm going to open it. So this is one string. This is one string. And I'm going to put a plus in between them. And once I put a plus, I can go ahead and break it on a new line. All right, so once we ask this question, do you want to play again? We need a place to store it, right? I'm going to store what the user types in the variable play again. So we can go ahead and change it. But guess what? Play again is a character variable. So it can only accept characters, right? But G-option pane, the show input dialog returns a string. If we try to store the string stored in the variable, it's going to go ahead and complain, all right? So assuming the user types in, hold on one second. I'm going to do this, just using another comment to explain this. So assuming the user types in Y, okay, or let's say yes, even just ignores this and just types in yes. We are going to just extract this first character to see if it's a Y. If they type in Y, we have one character. We're still going to extract check the first character to see if it's Y. Whatever the user types, if the user types in no, we are checking the first character to see if it's Y. Okay, and we haven't done that yet, but that's the idea behind it. We're going to check the first character to see if it's Y, and if it's not Y, then that means that this loop is not going to run, because this loop is going to run only while play again is equal to Y. So play again is going to take the string, right, and check to see if that first character was a Y or anything other than Y. If they type in, let's say this, right, this, we're going to check the first character. Is it a Y? If it's not a Y, then we exit out of the loop. We don't run this code again. We exit out of the loop. So if they type in yeah, or even if they type in this YJJ or whatever, YJF or something, we're only checking the Y to see if it's a Y. And if it's a Y, then that means the user said Y. All right, because the user can just mean to type in Y and make a mistake like this, and then we're only checking Y to see if it's a Y. If it's a Y, we are doing what's in the loop again. If it's not a Y, then we are doing what's not. We are not doing anything in the loop, right? So that's the idea. All right. So the way to extract. Let me leave this comment. I think I'll get to it. So the way to extract the character from the string that the user types is this. I'm saying get the string from this user, and then fetch. I'm going to put dot char at 0. So get the string and then fetch the character at index 0. Okay, so if you have a string like, let's say yes, this is the string that let's say the user types. We are fetching the character at position 0. Each letter of a word of any word has an index starting from 0. So in this case, yes has an index. Y has a index of 0, E has an index of 1, S has an index of 2. If you have a string like and if you have a string like no, N has an index of 0, O has an index of 1. If you have a string like this, S has an index of 0, O has an index of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. If these are the indexes, it always starts from 0. So any string with an index of 0 is basically the first letter. So that's what we're doing. We are fetching the character at the index 0 of that string that the user typed, and then storing that character in play again. Now, because we are storing a character in play again, the program shouldn't complain because we are storing the proper data type in play again. Play again is a character. We are storing a character in play again. If we didn't do this and we were storing a string in play again, it will complain because play again is a character and it can't store a string in play again. It can't store a string in a character variable. All right, so now we will have the user's response here, whether Y or something else. And if it's anything other than Y, this loop is not going to run again. If it's a Y, then this loop is going to run again and basically keep looping. So now we have a way to control this loop. All right, so I'm going to compile this and then try it out. All right, so I'm going to insert money. I'm going to type in, let's say 5. This is not, we're not doing anything with, we are multiplying it. If the user has 2, we are multiplying it by 3 if the user has all 3 matches, but we are not using it, we're not keeping track of it per se. So hit OK, and we have melons. You want $10 because I put in 5 and 2 of them match, so I want twice that. Do you want to play again? Press Y for yes, any key for no. Right, now if I hit N, see what happens. Hit OK and the program stops because I said no. But if I run this again and I insert money, and again I won because 2 of them match, and I say yes, I hit Y and I hit OK. Now it says insert money, so we're continuing. I hit 4, OK. I hit yes, insert money, say 4, OK. So it keeps going basically. Now another problem. Okay, it's good I did this. All right, so another problem is this. When I say insert money, I hit 4 and I hit OK. I won this. Cherries, bars, and basically all the string is stored in output string. So if I hit yes and I hit OK again, the next set of words, okay, if I hit type in money, then the next set of words is going to be concatenated to what's already stored in the string. So it's going to be added to what's already stored in the string. So before we run the loop again, if the user says yes and they want to run the loop again, we want to clear what's already stored in the string. It's not changing the values in the variables. We only changing the value stored in user output string. Okay, an output string, not user output string. An output string. Output string is what's storing just the display, or basically storing what's going to display on this window. So before we come back up and run the loop again, and the user is going to generate another set of words again, we want to clear what's already stored in output string so that it can display the new set of words or the new set of outputs that's going to be displayed. So that's what's happening. Because we're not clearing it up, we are just concatenating the new set of words and the new set of output to what's already stored in output string. So we need to clear it. So when the loop starts again, we want to go ahead and clear what's stored in output string. Set it to 0. I mean not 0. Set it to nothing again. Okay, nothing again. And then it's going to form the words and then concatenate whatever word was stored in output string with whatever they want here, and basically just string to ask them if they want to play again. All right, so now it should work. So I'm going to run this and insert money. I won because plums match. I got $6. Do you want to play again? I say yes. Hit OK. I insert another money 4. Hit OK. And now see we are having no problems. Guess what? All 3 of them match, and I put in 3. Did I put 3? I put in 4, right? Yeah, I put in 4. So because I put in 4 was multiplied by 3, and I get $12. Well, guess what? Look, all 3 of them match. So that's good. Now I say yes again. I hit OK. I insert money. Hit OK. 2 of them match, so I double my 4 to $8. Do you want to play again? I say N for no, or any key. I can hit T. Okay, and then hit OK. And then the program stops because any key, I said any key, anything that is not a Y or anything that doesn't start with a Y. So now we are making progress. All right, so now let's continue. The program will ask whether the user wants to play again. If so, these steps are repeated. If not, the program displays the total amount of money entered into the slot machine and the total amount won. This is instructions. I don't know why it's there. Maybe I'm missing some text after it, but that's the program. That's it. This is just to maybe tell us that we need decision structures. All right, maybe. But all right, so now we are here. If the program will ask the user, you've done that. If so, these steps are repeated. We've done that. If not, so basically if the user types in anything other than Y, the program displays the total amount of money entered. So now we need a total amount of money entered. We need a variable to keep track of that. So I'm going to create a variable. It's going to be a double variable because it's going to be an amount, a dollar amount. I'm going to store it as, I'm going to basically name it total user amount entered. Total user amount entered is just going to keep track of how much, if the user wants to play again, how much they put in. It's going to say if the user entered $10 for the first time and then another $10 for the second time, total user amount entered is now going to hold $20 because it's just adding up adding up each time how much the user is inserting into the slot machine. So when the user first starts off and inserts money over here, okay, inserts money, we will have the money inserted here. So what we want to do is we want to now when we start when we declare total user amount entered, when we declare that variable, we have to set it to 0. Initially it's an accumulator, okay? We are adding stuff to it. Initially when the program starts, the user hasn't entered any money, so the total user amount entered is 0. And then now we're going to be adding to it just to keep track of how much the user enters each time. So when the user enters money, we'll have it stored in user amount entered. So when as soon as they enter money, we want to keep track of how much they enter. So total, we want to keep track of how much they're entering. So total, wow, total. Let me just make this a capital here, just so I use camel casing well. All right. So total user amount entered is now going to be what's stored in total user amount entered, okay, plus the user amount entered. Okay, so we are storing, so total user amount entered is going to be what's already stored in user amount entered plus the user amount entered. Okay, and then it's all going to be stored in total amount, total user amount. And the next time the loop runs again and the user wants to play again, insert money, it's going to be stored in user amount entered. We are adding the user amount entered to what's already stored in the total user amount entered and storing it back in the total user amount entered. I hope it makes sense. Okay, if not, please comment down below and I'll do everything to respond to it. All right, so this basically will keep track of how much the user entered. So we'll have it here. Now the program said if the user enters, now before that, this whole statement can also be written as total user amount entered, okay, plus equals user amount entered. So that means this, what we are adding to total user amount entered, okay, is equal to user amount entered, okay. So what we are adding to total user amount entered is equal to user amount entered, okay, or user amount entered is being added to total user amount entered. Okay, you can read it like that. So this is another way of writing it. So I'll keep it that way. All right, or you can also switch to the old way. Okay, the old way, which is this. Okay, but I'm just going to take it back just so I can mix it up and have different variations of it. All right, so now we'll have total user amount entered starting here. Now the program says if not, the program should display the total amount of money entered into the slot machine. Okay, so now if the user hits a no or hits anything other than Y, this loop is the program is going to exit out of this loop and then continue with whatever follows the loop. This is the closing curly brace of the loop. So if the user enters anything other than Y, then we're going to continue with whatever code is down here. So the program says we should display the total amount of money entered into the slot machine. Okay, so now we can go ahead and create another G option pane, show message dialog, because now we're done with all the displaying the words and do you want to play again. Now we're just displaying how much money they entered in there, right? How much money they entered into the program. But just this is what the program is asking. You can go ahead and put it outside the loop. But what I really want to do is I want to add it in the loop, right? We are still going to go ahead. We are still going to go ahead and display it after if the user hits a no. We're still going to display it, but I'm going to keep it in the loop just so we can see it as the player is playing the loop. This is just an addition. Just I feel it's a good way to implement it. It doesn't change anything. I'm just showing it every time the user. I'm just telling the user, hey, how much you've inserted in so far. Just so you know that you know how much you're inserting so far, and when the user hits no, we're still going to display to him or her how much they've inserted so far.